Welcome everyone to episode 130 of Raw Sport. My name is Ahmed El Houli. Today we have Australian boxing legend Jeff Fennick in the house and the man himself, Mr. Tszyu Brown. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks,
Thank
mate.
you, mate.
Jeff, we'll start with you, mate. A regular conversation that we've had on this show is the future of Tim Tszyu, where he's going, where he's coming. He's made a big announcement a few weeks back. You were pictured with him on social media. So were you, Tazzy. And pretty much cleaned out the crew, off to the States, built a new team. Recently seen on social media with esteemed trainer Rudy Hernandez and Abel Sanchez up in Big Bear, California. I'll start with you, Jeff. What are your thoughts on those movements so far?
I know it's good to go out there and explore and to see. He's got to be happy. He's got to remember he's got a family here in Australia. And the biggest thing that I haven't seen that footage, but I did see him in another gym punching a bag, and somebody telling him to punch harder. He doesn't need to punch a bag. He needs somebody that's sitting down, telling him what he's doing right and wrong, how to improve, and to make him a better fighter. If they don't know what that takes or what he needs to do that, Tim's going to be the same old Tim Tszyu. I mean, like I said, Tim needs somebody there to direct him, to talk to him. First of all, to make him happy when he goes to the gym and what he wants to come back. And if he can get that over there, I wish him all the best. Because, like I said, I still think that Tim's got lots to give to the sport.
Jeff, the USA can be a very daunting place for fighters. We've seen in a lot of these larger gyms, fighters get washed up, hurt, and they're used for their own internal agendas by the club or by the boxing club owners or coaches or affiliates. What are your thoughts? How does Tszyu protect himself and make sure this doesn't happen to him?
Only one way to do that. That's to have somebody that cares about, knows what he's talking about, knows the business of boxing. And like I said, you've got to realise Tim Tszyu going onto foreign ground, everybody's going to want to kill Tim. Tim doesn't need tough sparring. Tim needs to be slowly brought back one step at a time. And then when the time's right, he can have a kill. But at the moment, Tim needs to and not be the killer either. He needs to be the person who's learning another way to make him better.
Tazzy, you've been staying in touch with Tim. You've pretty much been involved in some of those movements overseas.
Look, I mean, I agree totally with Jeff too. Like he's, just has to, work on some things to get him back. I think he will be world champion again. It's just a matter of coming back the right way and the smart way. Look, we spoke about it. I saw Tim before I went to Jeff's house a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned he wanted to sort of hook up with a few trainers, and I had a few contacts. So I hooked him up with Abel Sanchez just for a couple of days, and obviously Pedro Diaz as well, which I think you'll see soon. And Ismail Salas was meant to be on the card too, but that's not happening now. But I just said, look, mate, I know the guys. If you can just go and have a look and see what you think, and that's it, mate. But I gave him a lot of the same advice Jeff did, and just to be smart. Remember that who he is, and then just the path back. It's just got to be a little bit smarter, and once he has a couple of fights under his belt, I think that he definitely can be at the top again. But it's just got to be the next move is a very crucial move. You know what I mean? It's just got to be smart. But I think he really wanted to get this out of his system, was going to America and just trial some things. I think that his mind was set on that no matter what. So it's good that he's doing that. And then when he comes back and refreshed, and I believe the man next to us definitely should have a big part in a lot of it, because there's no one more knowledgeable in Australian boxing or world boxing than the bloke right next to us.
Absolutely. Jeff, can his career be resurrected?
Oh, without doubt. I mean, look, Tim hasn't been one of those guys who's been bashed up a lot and stuff like that. And look, the big thing is, like I said, anybody can train anybody. It's not about training. It's about teaching. It's about sitting down, watching those videos that he got beaten in. Have those guys even watched those videos? Have they said to themselves, listen, this is what Tim was doing right, this is what he was doing wrong? And you've got to put that in Tim's mind. Tim's got to realise, gee, I did do that wrong. I could have done this. This could make me better. And unless he's getting that advice, Tim's going to be Tim again. And I love Tim, like I said, but I honestly believe that Tim has, again, he can do it all over again. But like I said, he just needs to he needs to go on a different pathway. He needs to do things differently. If Tim thinks that he's going to beat those guys out there fighting the way he used to, he's got rocks in his head because like he couldn't do it before. So how's he going to do it now? So he needs to make changes.
Where does Costa Tszyu play in all this? I mean, I'll start with you, Jeff. You're closely involved with him, and then I'll come to you, Tszyu, because I know you stay in constant touch. Jeff, where's Costa in all of this?
In Russia.
I mean, wouldn't you think the conventional thing, sitting back, wouldn't you think Costa would get involved?
Easiest answer ever. If you was Tim's dad and you were one of the greatest fighters of all time, would you get involved in helping?
I would, yes.
We'll leave it at that. It's up to Costa if he wants to or not. And it's quite obvious that I'm not saying he doesn't support or want his boys to win, but he certainly hasn't turned up when they need him.
Wow. Tszyu, what are your thoughts?
I FaceTimed him 2 weeks ago when I was in Dubai, and I said, "Are you happy with the move Tim made, like in change his team?" He said he was happy, and the fact is that he wishes that he could have a bigger role in his career. But Costa's new life, obviously, since he left, he does have a lot on. Like he's got many businesses. I'm not saying, I mean, Tim's obviously more important than that, but he's got a new family, 2 young kids, and I think his schedule just doesn't allow. It wouldn't be consistent enough. So that's why I think that he won't commit, knowing that he wouldn't be there full time. So I'd love to see him go over there with his dad and spend a bit of time over there. But I think it's just his life now is a little bit different. But he does still support from afar, obviously, and they do talk. And
you've got to realise, mate, he spent time with Costa. He's trained with Costa. You know, I mean, you can be the greatest fighter in the world. Doesn't mean you're a good teacher. And like I said, there's been some of the greatest rugby league players ever. They can't, they're not coaches. It's a different mindset to fighting and coaching, and everybody's different. That's one of the things I learned over time. That listen, not everybody can do what Jeff Fennick does. And early on, I tried to make him do that. Then I learned, gee, there's one Jeff Fennick. That's me. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying, yeah, we're all different. So all I can say is, like I said, I honestly believe Tim's got the ability and everything else, the skill set to be the best. If somebody shows him what to do, gives him a game plan prior to a fight, tells him what to do when he sits down between rounds instead of giving him a drink of water, that Tim can be successful.
The reason why I say this, gentlemen, is a lot of the mistakes that happened that put Tim in the situation that he currently finds himself in could be avoided. I believe.
It should have been avoided. It should never have happened.
100%.
We might never have been even talking about this now. Tim still could have been world champion undefeated. But like I said, everything happens for a reason, and there are different levels, and Tim's on a different level now. And these guys that he fought in the last couple of fights are on a different level. Like I said, I love Fandora, but I honestly believe that, Tim could beat him if he fought the right fight. 2 times in a row he fought him, did exactly the same thing in both fights. So all I can say is, like I said, Tim is at the moment overseas, and he's got a massive decision to make. And it's not just about a trainer. It's somewhere you love to go into. When you go home, you can't wait to get back. And every day, oh man, I've just learned something I didn't learn before. Or he's just told me something that I hadn't been told before. That kind of stuff, And unless that's going to happen, like I said, Tim will be that Tim Tszyu that we all know that will go out there and give 110%. But is that enough to beat those great fighters? And it's been proven now that it's not.
No.
Going back to Costa, sorry. I believe if he was in his corner, during those fights, during those events, during the decision-making meetings, we would have seen a very, very different Tim Tszyu today. What are your
I
thoughts?
need to ask you a question. Why is that?
Because the first fight against Fondura probably would not have happened. Because anybody who's involved in boxing understands a late replacement, 6'6" southpaw, someone you haven't trained for, such a hard fight. It's a tough fight. Nobody with half a brain would take that fight, Jeff.
Well, sometimes you're in a position where there's nothing else going to happen, and then again, you need to have that professional team that says, listen, and if we're waiting for 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 10 weeks, it's worth the wait because, we're not taking a risk. But like I said, if Tim had somebody that could have told him what to do against Pandora in any of those rounds, I have no doubt Tim could beat him. I say that every day of the week until the day I'm not here.
That's why I believe if Costa was with him during that fight would not have had gone along. And even if it did, it would have been stopped earlier on, and we would have had some sort of rematch, and he wouldn't have lost the fight.
Why are you saying that? Do you think their Costa, the people who were in that corner, the people who apparently looked after Costa, they didn't know, so they didn't have a clue what's happening. So I don't know.
Yeah, but
Well,
Costa's been there and done that,
yeah.
Jeff. Like
Well,
those
we all
I
know.
understand that,
are
but wait there.
fanboys.
I'm not saying he hasn't, but he's been there and done it better than most people ever. But again, does that mean he knows when to throw the towel in or when he needs to look after his son? There are a lot more factors than just being able to fight and to have knowledge about fighting. Like I said, those guys have been around the sport for years. They didn't even know in the fourth round you stopped the fight and Tim could have still been world champion today. So like I said, all I know is like Tim didn't have a plan going into that fight. He just obviously thought he's just going to do what he does every other day, and he's going to stop Pandora.
Yeah. Yeah, with
Jazzy?
that, I think, yeah, look, I said to Tim when I spoke to him the other day, I said definitely, the change with Thurman to Fandora, I would have come home. That would have been me handling my fighter. It's obviously great in hindsight, but definitely I wouldn't have took it. Then obviously with Jeff's been the main one of the biggest ones, about the 4 round. Obviously it would have been a no contest. That's another thing too. And I'll tell you now, I told Tim to his face, Terence Crawford was looking at Tim, not Majimov. So Terence was looking at 154. It was Tim was the guy he wanted. He thought he was the man there. So he would have got a big payday to fight Crawford. So a lot of things in hindsight he's missed out on because they cut the bad decisions. And then you go back into it. Then you fight, Background, who no one wanted. Charlo paid his step aside money on 3 occasions because he's a dangerous fighter with no name. So it's a lose lose. And then, like it's been revealed recently with the IBF clause, he didn't know about the second day weigh in, which is it takes a bit tough. So a lot of things there, a lot of things that we shouldn't be having this conversation today.
And
But
let me just say something really quick because I don't, I don't know. Listen, all you got to know is one thing. Just sit down and watch every one of Tim Tszyu's fights, everyone, and see if anybody ever said in the corner, Tim, you need to do this between the round. He never
that's
said,
right.
never told anything because he just does it on his own. I mean, so yeah,
Yeah.
until you get somebody that when you're under pressure or you need the advice on what is happening, he's gonna run into the same wall all the time. So all I can say is, like I said, Tim needs to pick the right people around him at the moment. And and honestly, like I said, I'll say it again that of course he can climb the ladder again. He's this guy who's got all the skill in the world. Like he's again, just think of this: everything that he's done on his own. Imagine having somebody there to help you.
With
I
not
mean,
much amateur career too. He only had like 30 amateur fights. So Tim has done it pretty much on his own. That's right, Jeff. Just pure skill.
one of the inclusions has been a very underrated manager by the name of Michael Altamura, who travels the world scouting talent. I mean, he's, in my opinion, which doesn't hold much weight in this conversation, he is a very underrated personality in the world of boxing.
Let me tell
100%.
you some things about Mike. Mike's going to put his fighter in a fight that he's at least 90% sure he's going to win. That's the kind
100%.
of guy you want in your corner.
That's
You know,
right.
like I said, Mike, Mike loves the sport. This boxing is Mike, and they're the people you want around you. And like I said, when you got a good team around you, Ahmed, like if there was Mike and whoever there might have been, we're all gonna hit the nail on the head at the same time. We're not gonna argue. We're gonna listen to each other talk, and then you do what's right for your fight, and that's the name of the game. And I know that Mike does that.
Jeff, how was the meeting at your place? What was it like?
It was all right. Like I said, I really didn't really know they were videoing it. I didn't really know that. I thought they were just videoing us, asking a few questions and stuff. Then I was overseas for a couple of weeks. I find that all this stuff was on social media. Not that it bothered me one bit, but if I thought I was going to be on social media, I would have showed them what I thought it would have been much better than that. It would have been me, going through everything properly and showing him what I believe that Tim is capable of doing. But like I said, honestly, um, Tim's in a tough situation. Darcy Ellis, one of the beautiful guys you'll ever meet, will do anything for anybody. He'll walk across glass for you. And Mike, who's been there for a long, long time, so there's no problem with that. Now, like I said, even when they mention me, they might mention me, but I don't believe they believe that. That was just a way to kind of get my name out there after all the truth that I've been telling. Like I said, yeah, if they wanted to use my knowledge properly, like I said, exactly what I'm saying today, I wouldn't have sent him to America. I would have first let Tim go through what he needs to go through. And then if he's going to go there and experiment and do what he has to do, like I said, in his own head, he doesn't want a trainer. He doesn't need a trainer. He's the son of Costa Zoo. Costa put him in boot camp when they were 10 years old. He made him starve and not drink, but he taught him all that stuff. They don't need that. They need a teacher. It's going to say, this is what you've done right. This is what you've done wrong. For you to go to that next step, you need to do this. And unless he's got that, we're going to see the same Tim Tszyu that has been proven at the moment that he's not ready for that next level.
Jeff, what's one thing that stood out to you in that meeting that you didn't go in knowing about Tim? That's something that sort of just got you.
No, well, the biggest thing that surprised me was that they were there. Like I thought, like I said, yeah, no disrespect to Costa or anybody else, but like I said, it's a hard thing to do. Like your dad was this guy, Jeff Fenix, this guy, saying Costa was this, Jeff Fenix that, and then you're sitting with one of them and not the other one. So, but like I said, for me, life isn't about, you know, this and that. It's about making the right and taking the right opportunity. And that's why I know Darcy brought him here. Darcy believes in me and stuff. But like I said, Tim's gonna learn as he goes along now. Like I said, you can go and somebody can put you through pads and it's gonna feel great. But pad work does nothing for you. What does a lot for you is when you sit down and you watch a video with somebody of what you've done and they say, see, look at that, Tim, that was right, that was wrong. And a lot of those boys in America, they don't do that either. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what makes a great trainer, a great fighter. If you got a great fighter, everybody's gonna think you're a great trainer. If I got a great fighter, I'm gonna make him even greater. That's what I believe.
Wow. Tassie, you were a fly on the wall in those meetings? Or did you leave? Did you leave straight after they come? Or
Oh no! It wasn't it wasn't the same day.
okay,
Individually went and saw Tim, and then went and saw Jeff about me and
okay.
Jeff's business, separate stuff. And then I went and saw Billy Hussein. Went for a walk around Belmore. Not a bad day. Three pretty knowledgeable. And then I went to Dubai. Yeah.
So you went to see Jeff about some business. What's the business, mate? Apparently you've got a massive
Yeah, let's
announcement
get
for
on
us.
with the business. Let's forget about everything else because this is something wow that most fighters should dream of. I mean, if I hadn't met him in the past, I would be like one of those guys who was sleeping outside the venue to wait till he got there. And it's the coming of Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran is coming to Melbourne, Gold Coast, and Sydney. Thanks to Taszyu Brown, everybody. Thanks to somebody who, like I said, I've known Taszyu a long time, and whether he was the greatest fighter or he wasn't, mate, this guy worked his backside off and had the dream of being the best. Although it didn't work out that way, he's now going to maybe be the best promoter, the best individual person that can go out and meet and greet these people and bring some of the greatest people, not just to Australia, but around the world. So I just want to say this here, Taz. Like I said, for me, you as a fighter was somebody who gave 200% and didn't have everything go your way. But as a person, you've always been my great friend. You're the loyalest person in the world. Yeah, when you say something, you stick by it. And this guy bringing one of the greatest fighters in history to Australia, Roberto Duran. I can't wait for our Sydney dinner at Echo Restaurant on the 31st on Friday night. It's going to be something very, very special. I've already sold like a lot of tickets. There are obviously tickets left, but this is going to be something very, very special, and we thank you so much for it, Taz.
Tassie.
No, thanks, Jeff. So love you, brother. And training with you was a lifelong dream. And 18-year-old kid coming up to spend time with you and spar Team Fennec at the peak, it was unbelievable going to the wall with Skinny, Hussey, and Vic every day. So you played a big part of my life, Jeff. And whether you know it or not, mate, you really have. So, I love you and thank you for that. Yeah, mate, look, Roberto Duran off the back of Terence Crawford. There was a few people that didn't think I'd bring Crawford, but I did, and got him right before he beat Canelo. So that was huge, and want to thank Billy Hussein at the time for being a big part of helping me too. But it was a huge thing. So now I'm thinking, what else can I do? Because I should just retire on that one, but I think I'm going to keep going, mate. I've got a lot of life to live, and I made my promise to my mother Cheryl 1 year ago. Before she left this world, that I was going to continue being successful, making her proud. So that's what motivates me. So Roberto Duran, the hands of stone, the greatest lightweight of all time. He's in the top 10 pound for pound list, probably the top 5 on everybody's list in the world. Teddy Atlas to Mike Tyson to Jeff Fennick. He's coming to Australia, guys. 28th of October, he's in Melbourne doing a dinner, meet and greet photo with the champ. Listen to him talk about the four kings, Hearns, Hagler, Leonard, those great fights. Wilfred Benitez, Iran Barkley. Gold Coast a couple of days before the 26th there. Late inclusion. Dinner up there on the Goldie. Restaurant to be named today. Then Jeff Fennick has organised a beautiful dinner at Echo's Restaurant in Jemoyne Sailing Club. It's going to be a really good intimate night with Roberto and Jeff as well. So you're getting two of the greatest, both four-time full division world champions, and both WBC legends, and two of the best in the divisions ever. So, mate, I'm humbled to bring this to Australia. Hands of stone, Roberto Duran.
Tassie, how do people buy tickets? Where do people go?
In
First
Sydney.
thing they've got to do, Ahmed, they've got to put their hand in their pocket,
That's right.
find either that wallet or that stack of money, and Tassie can finish it off.
Yeah. So look, for Melbourne, contact me. Instagram, Facebook, or my number 049999 0465. Gold Coast as well, contact me. For Sydney, look, contact me or Jeff. Jeff's been dealing with a lot of them, so I'd say contact Jeff for that one. And then, mate, I don't know if people really know the meaning of this enough. I know Melbourne have been a bit slow, getting the money out because, Roberto Duran's a once-in-a-lifetime boxer. You might say this one's a legend. That one, the word legend gets thrown around a bit too easy these days. But Roberto Duran at one time was 69-1. Then he revenged that loss to Jesus. Left lightweight after being undisputed for years. Went up and fought the undefeated Sugar Ray Leonard, the darling of Australia, the world boxing. He was the media hype train, the legend, great fighter, and Duran dethroned him at welterweight. This is a man that defied the odds of being on the streets of Panama. They talk about Manny Pacquiao's story. Well, look at Roberto Duran's story. And Jeff knows him better than anything because Jeff idolised him and then become great friends, WBC legends, Hall of Famers. The fact that Duran's coming here, and if you don't meet him and you're a boxing fan, guess what? You're not a boxing fan's asshole if you don't go and meet Roberto Duran. And I say that loosely. Sorry.
Tassie, mate, we've seen the last couple of weeks you've been shooting around the globe, hanging out with some big stars, some big names. You've been delivering, mate. What's going on? You become a man of the stars and celebrities, mate. You're all over the world.
I'm not worried about celebrities. Listen, Jeff knows me. Johnny Lewis knows. At 18 years of age, I left Tassie. I left my family to go to Sydney. I didn't know what was going on, but I wanted to be the best boxer I could be, like Jeff said. Didn't work out. I slept on the gym floor at Newtown PCYC where I slept there for 4 months. Then I went to the Town and Country Hotel. Then I went to the Five Dock Hotel, thanks to Jeff. I slept anywhere with a mouth guard. I wanted to train and fight. So that's what Jeff knows my dedication. I took punches every day from the best in the world. A Skinny Hussein who knocked out Pacquiao. He used to bash me every day. Loved it. At the end of the day, I'll do anything, mate. I made a promise to my mother that I'm going to be the biggest, the best person in boxing in the world, and I'm going to fucking do it. I'll tell you now, brother. There's no stopping this train.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The man himself, Mr. Tszyu Brown. He's brought us Terence Crawford. Now he's bringing us Roberto Duran. Jeff, any final words for us, mate?
Yeah, I won't say in the exact words that Tazzy said, but if you're a boxing fan, this is a once in a lifetime. Roberto's not going to be here forever. He's getting older, and like we all are. But wow, if you love the sport of boxing, especially when boxing was at its best, Roberto Duran is certainly up there with the greatest. I love him. He's my favourite fighter of all time. Obviously, I trained Mike Tyson. I love Mike, but Mike, when I took Mike to first meet Roberto Duran, Mike was like a kid in a candy store. Mike loves him, and yeah, Mike knows his boxing and his boxers. So Roberto Duran, yeah, if anybody loves the sport of boxing and yeah, wants to get a chance to get a photo or to meet one of the greatest in history, it's like for me, it'd be like if I was a music fan and Elvis was in Australia. I'd love to go and see him. So that's all I can say. And again, before I go, because I'm in a bit of a hurry, Taz, I want to say something to you, brother. I'm proud of a lot of my guys who fought and did great in boxing. I can be no prouder of them or than I am of you for what you've done after your career in boxing. And where irrespective if it's for your mother or whoever it's for, that's all great. What you've done for yourself is an amazing feat, and I congratulate you, mate. And I love you very much, and good
Yeah.
luck with everything.
It means a
Taz-
lot, Jeff. It means a lot. Thank you so much. I love you too, brother.
Tazzy, wrap it up for us, mate. Final words.
Yeah, look, to have the greatest fighter in Australian history, give you those kind words is always, it means a lot, and yeah, I can't thank him enough. But look, yeah, like Jeff said, I mean, look, if it's in music, it's Elvis. It would have been Tupac for me, different era. But the thing is, mate, Roberto Duran is not going to be in Australia ever again, I don't think. And I think that if you do watch boxing, train boxing, do boxing, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to mix it with, you're talking about the Four Kings. Well, mate, he was a massive part of the Four Kings. So get your tickets, guys. Gold Coast 26, Melbourne 28th, and Sydney 31st with Jeff Fennick. That's a bonus night, that one, because you're getting 2 for 1, 2 Hall of Famers together, and a two-headed Tasmanian as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll put the details in the description notes. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Take care, everyone. We'll catch you all in the next episode of Raw Sport. Take care, everyone.
Ahmed, thanks as always, brother. You're the true guy who gives the truth about our sport.
That's
Thanks,
it, gentlemen.
Ahmed. And a shout out to the 2199.